the rings. Drinking healthy water. Send up a flare. There we go. All right. What to do? What to do? Some drawing. Hey, Charity. See, you can always count on me to stream. Every day I stream. Let's see here. I'm a little bit riding high on life, if you will, from the warm reception. Hey, Danny, warm reception of the little educational short or whatever I did that was well received yesterday. Had me buzzing a bit, but while I'm tickled at the prospect of new successful formats, I will do the Max thing and ignore success for the sake of stubbornness and focus on making art instead. But we'll come back to that stuff later. I want that stuff to work. Sorry, something not in my nostril, but like here on the top part of my lip is itchy, and I've been scratching it. I will come back to that stuff later. But I'm just nervous about. I'm not nervous, but like I don't want to be like the guy who's like, I'm a guru and everything I say is genius and it's just a bunch of cryptic bullshit. Like, people responded to that because it was a good analogy. I don't need to make shit up. Just to make shit up. I will focus on making art. If I have a good analogy in the moment, it'll get recorded. Maybe then I'll post it. That'll be that. So, in the meanwhile, this will continue. You're not live on YouTube too? I should be, but if I'm not, I don't care. I might be. I should be. If the Twitch is working, that's good enough for me right now. I can't keep track of like all the stupid things that want to change. Oh, you found it? Okay, cool. I know we all suffer through this, but like it's a daily occurrence where like you didn't ask for it, but something was updated, and now the thing that was working perfectly good sucks or is gonna suck, or you don't feel like you can trust it anymore, or it just forgets about you and says, hey, prove yourself again. You have to log in. No audio? I should have audio. You're there live, but your buttons don't show on stream. Buttons? What about this stuff? You see all this stuff. This is, once again, a scuff. We're all scuffy. Now you've double subscribed. Okay. We're gonna follow up with some of that Midna stuff. That's the only thing I can think of to work on. Yes, I know that if I triple down on some figure drawing, that would probably, you know, be what the people want. But this is what I want. All right. You just do... Find the chill within the chill. And so, let's see here. Some of this would do with some references. Yeah, this is the one. Put it here. Y'all can see it. Wolf link, yes. I just like this piece. So here's the challenge: is the piece. I like the sketch a lot. Really into it. Happy I demoed it all live. And now, what if we? This is always difficult, but what if we tried to make this? Once again, I'm scratching my lip. What if we tried to make this something that the other day I had an AI allegation, and it was very painful for the accuser because I smacked them down like a little bitch, and they disappeared from the internet, never to raise their ugly voice in my presence again. Clip that. No. Woe to any AI accuser of me. I mean, to be honest, I'm like, well, people against AI are on the same side as me, but I prefer not to catch any strays. And very few times have I had sincere people be like, is this AI? And then I'm like, nope, here's all my blah, blah, blah. Here's the evidence. Here's everything live on stream. Here's all these things. And they're like, oops, sorry. You're amazing. That's usually how it goes. This other person decided to double... They're even a person. They're probably a bot. But they decided to double down and, reap the humiliation. And I hate to spank someone in public like that, but it had to happen. I'm gonna have this up. I'm here to school, and class was in session that day, that's for sure. All right. But it had me thankful enough that I did my due diligence to, document my process. And obviously, it's like the reels that I post document the process. And apparently that was suspect to this guy or gal. And so blinded were they with their ignorance that they refused to see reason. And like the White Wizard, I had to smite them. Smite their ruin upon the mountain of triumph. Alright, so here's the fun part is the rough sketch that we've done is the hard work. So, this will probably just be a chill stream where I'll start to add detail, probably realize I'm rendering too much in the beginning stages, and I need to uncouple a little bit and loosen up and all that stuff. And I haven't drawn in 3 or 4 days. Work has been slow lately. I reached out to my agent today. She's like, it's been slow the last 2 weeks, and so I'm lucky I have any fires in the oven at all, including this. I'm more than happy to give myself a mental and emotional vacation. Jump into it. Okay. In case people are curious, you can go through through some of these layers maybe. Okay, that's the signature. There's the highlight on some of these eyes. Revisiting some of this stuff because I did it a couple weeks ago. Some little extra depth shading right there. Some clarification happening here. or is it the, you know, it's like, now that I look at it, that's Minda's hair. But everything is just sort of a compositional element. Okay, this is the positive and negative space call out. Some reinforcement on the edges. Yeah. Detailing. And there's the wolf. All right. Turn all that back on. Now, because this is... It's sensible over time, especially when you're moving from a sketch phase, which I like to keep a little bit of the sketch in the final. Like having just something of it in there, even if it just is very loose, sort of loosely... It can be at a very light transparency as part of the coloring process, and it can add texture and interest and life, and some noise, some randomness to help a digital process may look a little less artificial. So if I flatten that. That said, a lot of sketch layers, you know, they mostly get discarded in the final. So it's okay to flatten it, and in addition to flattening it, which essentially this saves like RAM, you know, it just sort of, this was more of an issue in the early days of computers and stuff when everything, it made sense to work at much lower resolution and limit layers and stuff like that. My system right now doesn't need that. So what I'm going to do is, in order to make sure that I don't draw on it, I'm going to group it and just sort of have it as a layer that I can't group, that I can't draw on. Because nothing is worse than drawing on the wrong layer. That is just the absolute worst. That looks like old layers I don't need. And if we go here, what we're going to do is add a white, like basically put a piece of white paper on top of it, and we'll trace over that to make some nice line art. If I can, I'm not sure what's happening here. Why did that work? Understand. Yeah. Okay. That pencil works. Why not this one? What the hell is going on? Oh. Well, of course, if you draw with white on white, you're not going to get very far. Bear with me 2 seconds. It's now that I've got my systems all fired up, the air conditioner needs to come on.
Go back, Sam! Going to Mordor alone. Of course you are. coming with you.
You know, if we're doing Zelda, let's just play some Zelda music. Here we go. I'm going to open the... Oh. Here we see some Flowers references I was using the other day. Okay, I don't prefer to have my references in the lower corner, but it'll have them up, and then it's for the benefit of the audience. Now, what's interesting, here's the challenge for me for this, is the sketch is goated. You know, we have a goated sketch here. So how do we... How do we take that to the next level? Very difficult challenge. Often, it's a losing proposition. Part of the appeal of a sketch is its ability to invite the viewer in the participation of finishing. Yes? So there's something about it that is sort of better than finished, right? It can be finished again and again and invite the viewer to participate in that finishing every time. Whereas like a finished piece of art, it's often the finality of it feels very anticlimactic. It can be sometimes over-rendered, feeling stiff, arrested, all things that we've been sort of discussing a little bit lately. And the challenge for me, and finishing things is often not as satisfying as it feels like it should be, you know? We want finishing a piece to feel like we are winning some sort of race, right? Often it's like we're running out of gas. Like, and the finish line is there, but we can't get to it. It's like the finish is like a mirage on the horizon, right? So you see it, and you know you need to get to it, and it's dangled in front of you like hope on a string. But the longer you go for it, the farther away it seems, until you are exhausted and you just have to sort of give up and make peace with where you are. That being the case, that doesn't mean the journey isn't worth doing and all that. It just may have been that the shiny finality of the finish that we had our mind at was not the true finish. Maybe it was behind us, you know? Maybe we were already there. Twilight says, I still love that 10-minute sketch or whatever you did of the beach. Also, I showed the collage of my favorite art of you. It was all different stages. Showed that college. Oh. Or was it a collage? Yes. Good. You mean the Link's Awakening beach? Yes. That's a goated sketch. And in your mind, you see the completion for like a pen sketch, right? Maybe I could pull that up. Actually, Donald, you might find it faster and just post it in the Discord if you do. Let me know. Because it'll take time for me to hunt, and I should just be drawing. Okay. Let's make some art. So some things, so the concept of, you know, what does the perfect end piece of this look like? I was actually asked this question yesterday in like a direct message, someone asking about the concept of like, how do you deal with perfectionism? And it's like, is it something I struggle with? And my response, I had to think about it for a second. And truth be told, I don't deal a lot with struggle with perfectionism because for the life of my career, 20 years of storyboarding, I'm constant, like what I deliver are imperfect sketches that, you know, I work on them as much as I can until we're out of time. And wherever they are is often the finished product. Sometimes they look beautiful and they look finished, and sometimes they're like scribbles, you know, but they get the job done. And the luxury of being able to work on something until I say it's perfect is something I'm pretty new to. But I've learned a lot about time management and realizing that often less is more and more is less. And a little bit of advice I gave them was to not get wrapped up in finishing details or the need to put in things that give it a finished look, perhaps, as we are in a weird place in the age of AI where I think it's people are often, I think people are being easily, well, people who advocate for AI and its power to create, you know, extremely detailed high resolution images and stuff, are getting a little wowed by the granularity of artistic detail and sort of thinking that that might be a laudable goal. Perhaps at one point it was, but I advised that I personally, and maybe this other person too, could not worry about like finishing details or making things look perfect, and instead focus on drawing the soul of the piece of art, and not so much its final form. The soul of the art actually represents the piece in perfection anyway, right? So just draw that and stop. That was the advice there. So that's what we're gonna do, is draw the soul of this piece and stop. Now, theoretically, I already did this with the rough sketch, so we're gonna redraw the soul of the piece in line art and then attempt to achieve all those same things, but with more dimension of line art and color and texture details and stuff like that. Twilight says, perfectionism doesn't make sense in a professional setting, right? Same as my job as an HVAC engineer or whatever it's called. Yeah. I don't think I don't think perfection makes sense in any setting. It's such a rare thing. Like there's like one instance of someone getting like all 10s or whatever in the Olympics, gymnastics Olympics or something like that. Maybe one or two. It's like, I don't know. Like, it's rare for a reason. And even that, like, you could argue wasn't perfect, probably. Maybe someone could find a flaw with it or take exception. Set a different goal. Perfectionism is not helpful. A lot of what I set for my goal is to learn something. And if I'm not learning something like in terms of artistic technique, then I want to learn something in terms of like what the audience thinks and responds to the things. Okay, here's a good question. What tool will we use? And I think I'll use this one. This is called the Storybook Master. This is a tool. You making a short vid from this stream? We'll see. I'm sure it's clippable. I'm sure a lot of stuff that I do is clippable, and it's probably I'll audit it for that, but I won't. If I become known as the guy who just does stupid clips for stuff and doesn't make art, then that's the wrong goal. Alright, so enough of that. But everything gets saved, and I'll look at it later. Now, where to start? Anywhere. Anywhere it feels like you can start. The starting is the hardest part. And it might be that I throw away what I'm drawing right now. I might decide later that I had done it too stiff. I probably will. Because I haven't drawn in 4 days, and I do feel a little stiff. I'm in a weird sort of mental space, I gotta be honest, with work not being that busy. Work was busy for me last week, but I'm used to work being like double booked busy. Like that's more the mental space I'm in, where like work is being an emergency. And if work isn't an emergency, it's sort of like I feel very understimulated. And what I would typically do is like, you know, be like, well, I'm bored, so I'm gonna drink until work picks up again. And then that would cause its own problems and stuff. But since I'm trying to be healthier and set a better example for myself, not having like a go-to easy like wham pacifier bottle to stick in my mouth, I've been doing stuff like catching up on sleep and whatnot. Just sort of doing stuff that makes me feel lazy, but forcing myself to sort of be okay with it. That's different. Not feeling productive, but being okay with it. I don't want to be too hard on myself either, because I definitely did a bunch of chores today. Obviously, I got the kids ready for camp and took them, and I'll pick them up in about an hour or two. Oh, I should say, this stream will only be about an hour. I spent half of it yammering. So when I'm looking up, I'm looking at the OBS thumbnail, essentially. This has the image that I'm drawing down here is large. It's like, whatever, this big. And I'm used to drawing small. If I'm drawing large, this is a little challenging for me because it's easy for me to lose a little bit of my objectivity due to the distortion of the screen. But up here, it's shrunk down again. And it's almost storyboard size, and I'm used to evaluating compositions at that scale. And it's helpful for me to see it that way. Feeling the sense of balance. Donald's got the assist with the and I really, so if anybody's curious, Donald deserves a lot of 99% of the credit for finding that original clip and encouraging me to make something of it. Might not have happened otherwise. Probably wouldn't have. It was worth the sacrifice, that's for sure. So my line art, obviously I'm not doing anything that resembles like traditional inking where it's like thick, fully black lines. What I'm doing is sort of, it's not kosher line art. This is sort of petting from petting the line from soft and wispy to thicker and more full-bodied. Trying to capture the appeal of the sketch in line art. Now, I prefer this to look unshaded, like unshaded line art, or it's like I want the essence of the sketch, but without the shading in it, because the shading for me is the lighting, which comes later. Everybody, save your work. If you're working, save your work. Any updates with your daughter's agent and whatnot? She needs headshots and stuff like this. I feel like this will probably... This may sort of turn a corner in my wife in terms of the interest and how... So, just so everybody knows, it's like... I am not... my daughter did some good performances. As many as 10 of her teachers have come up and said you need to get her into like performance schools and stuff like that, or classes. Whereas if it was just one or two people, we would have ignored it and been like, oh yeah, she's great, you know, or whatever. It's a little bit much to have so many people come up and recommend this and insisting upon it. And so it's sort of like, okay, well, let's give this at least a minimum of a try. And Kiki herself could care less. She really doesn't want to do anything. She's like me as a kid. She's like, I'd rather be lazy and watch TV and stuff like that. But it's an opportunity for her to learn like good life skills and such. So that's why I'm endorsing this. And my wife is acting on, I think, what is the best advice that others are giving. But being someone who is not altogether unfamiliar with the ups and downs of production, and you know, born and raised in LA and stuff like that, I know a little bit about how this stuff goes, and it's, you know, let's just say it's like, if nothing ever comes of it, I'll still be happy. We'll learn a lot from it, but hopefully we don't have to deal with too much drama. My wife will probably get a little scared off by what the realities of like casting and those sorts of like dynamics are. Basically assessing people as like product. It's I've seen a little bit of that myself, and it's a big turnoff to see how the sausage is made, so to speak. So I already feel like I know this lesson, but I want my, you know, I do too much gloom and doom kind of fretting. So this is an opportunity for me to practice being brave. And obviously it's early stages. Literally nothing has happened. She needs headshots. That's what her agent said. So that's what's coming up. That's where it is right now. Also, she's doing good in her acting classes. Seems like she's doing well. So my wife on board. My wife is kind of driving the thing. And my dad, who is big and strong and more available, he will facilitate any sort of like, if she has to go to an audition, like my dad will take her. So those cami slides were awesome. I seriously otherwise don't get to see the details in your art, like her eyelashes and glints in her eyes. I felt this zoomed in sliding is something to remember later. Oh yes, it was actually interesting for me to see it, especially after so much time, to see it again, close up, zooming and sliding. I was like, who is this guy? I gotta follow him. And I'm like, oh, it's me. You know. Jody says, having worked around that industry, I want to stay away from it, but if it makes sense, if it makes your daughter happy, then do it. I have to say, I'm anticipating tears and then lessons learned, and I will probably be vindicated in my assumptions. But I'm also like a guy that says, oh, we shouldn't do that, nothing will ever work, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I need to decouple from that mindset myself, a little bit at least. Just give it a shot. You know. So, what will probably happen is that she'll go out for a few auditions, not get casted, and my wife will get bored and move on to something else. Kiki is already sort of, you know, take it or leave it. What I do like, though, is that acting classes will teach her to have a more deliberate stage presence. And right now she has a very effective accidental stage presence. That's what everybody's like noticing, is that she's entertaining to children and adults, which is sort of difficult to do. And yeah, so that's it. That's it at present. It's really right now. There's like we're not even like rolled the dice to get off of Go on Monopoly. It's like it's not game. The game isn't even on yet. So. The industry is the type that makes you wish you could reach through the phone and in Max's words, bitch slap someone. Listen, I bitch slap with love. It's through love that I bitch slap. It's to educate. It's not for me, you know. It's for the person I'm educating. I derive no pleasure from this. So. Actually, I'm the victim. I'm the victim in all this for sure. It was a self-defense bitch slapping. So this is how the line art is looking so far. And it's like, it's not really line art, but you can't say that it isn't part of the process. This is something that I can fill, and then I can fill it, color it, and then light it. That's the process. What's this? Maybe one day she can audition for Flowers. Yeah, voice acting could be a thing. I bitch slap with the force of a pimp hand, but with words. Not many people can tell an A-lister's travel agent to shut the fuck up and listen for 5 minutes and not get fired. Hell yeah. It's tempting as I'm doing this to automatically speaking add shading where it's not really belonging. It sort of prompts an interesting question. What is line art, right? Like in the when we look at things, we don't see a world of lines, do we? Right? But kind of we do. Especially if we are using, for instance, flash photography. That ends up happening is the brightest forms are close to camera, and the parts of the forms that fall away towards the edges of the camera become darker and fall into sharp darkness at the very edge of the forms. So in a way, we do have lines at the edge of all the forms, depending on the lighting, right? So Norman Rockwell was his works are a great example of this, and another time I'll bring him up. But what the lines essentially are shadows. Like there are now too many lines or too many shadows makes it difficult to do a lighting pass, so we must act with restraint. But like if you hold up your hand, you know, in between your fingers are lines. You know, those are shadows. In the crevices of my hand, we can all see, are shadows that are best represented with lines. And then the little swirl in my knuckle and the line across my lip. You know, so there are lines. So it isn't it's not like it's not realistic to have some line art to start with. And for me, it's an integral part of my process. So we just go with it. The lineless look of rendering for a very long time was the go-to de facto for impressing people on social media, but that is canceled now. Or rather, line art is uncanceled, as I like to say. Uncanceled. Line art is back. But down the road, I might experiment with different ideas with rendering. Less lines. I don't know if I need as many of these hair details right here. The Wolf-Link design kind of has this fun... I don't feel like this is necessarily accurate to realistic animals, for instance, but here it's emphasized, if nothing else. We've got this fun it's almost an M shape, where if we start here, the outside edge of the ear goes up and then plunges down and then meets the eyebrow. So the ear and the eyebrow are kind of treated as one line. And they kind of meet in this wolfy kind of unibrow space. It's obviously very heavily emphasized. And then goes back and gets to the other ear. So ears and eyebrows being sort of connected is maybe something that we can see if that's worthwhile to emphasize or bring a distinction from. I think I can sort of bridge the gap a little bit. I don't, for one, like that's stylistically cool, especially in like a the graphics of that era. But it also skews a little cartoony. And that isn't really what I'm going for. So far, this is looking pretty cool. I do want the wolf's ears to look a little bit turned back. I feel like that's a more aggressive stance, or at least I feel like I remember that is the case. I think dogs do that when they are feeling, when they are sensing a threat or a fight. Because I think dogs know that, like, their ears are vulnerable to like getting bit off and shit, so they try to pull those back a little bit. Everybody save your work. And this part is just fun for me. Even if I do an imperfect job with the line art, it can be rescued later on in the process by, you know, it's like I'll step away from the piece today, or, you know, whatever, like, because I'm not going to finish this today, so it's like this will be a good start to the rest of the finish. And what I can do is rest my brain a little bit, come back to it, look at it, see if there's anything that needs tweaking with the line art. There probably will be, but it'll probably be small. The sketch is so helpful in, like, I know that I like this sketch. I know that others have responded to it too. The algorithm didn't do much with it, but it's like, I don't need that to be... It doesn't need to get proven that way. I know a still image on Instagram, whereas there was a time when someone mentioned that we could, I believe Sextra said, what was it, Danny? That you could post an egg, picture of an egg on Instagram, and it could be the most liked photograph ever. That's not the era we're in anymore. if I can save this enough times as I go through it, I can make an animation and put it to music, and it'll look cool. And that's been pretty consistently effective in getting some momentum on things. You're saying that I did get the earrings in. Here, yes, there's an earring here. I think it was just one ear, no? Are there two earrings? Because I don't want to ignore... Oh yeah, two earrings right here on the doggy. Or wolf. And I don't love that that's so close to the edge. Maybe... Could they be here? Going folded back like that? A little high. That's not right either. I like the idea of them being a little bit unexpected. Or bigger even. No, the smaller one is needed. So bigger earrings, while might be looking cool, I can't have them competing with the same size of the eyeballs, for instance, like the loop of this eye, right? It either has to be bigger than that, so it's like big, or it's smaller, but it can't be the same size. If things appear like, if even if they're not the same size, but they appear to be the same size, it becomes something that links them. And if that's intentional, great. But if it's not intentional, then it's a misstep. And it would have the effect of sort of flattening the POV. And I think that wouldn't be good. So earrings could either be here, at that size, on the inside or the outside. I think I like them. I like them like this. But I can change my mind on that later. Let's do quick save and then flop the image. It's looking good here in the thumbnail that I can see, but let's also double check ourselves a little bit. Yes, that is still looking very good. Pleased about that. And instead of flipping it back, I'm going to keep it at this orientation for a little bit and keep rendering. Being left-handed and using the brush that I do gives my brushstrokes a certain orientation that and a bias that it's nothing bad. It's like I'm left-handed. But if it might make it look too much that things are just sort of like shifting over from one side. It'll give us, if I do nothing about it, it might give a slight smear effect to the line art, which is cool. It looks cool. It's unique. It's stylistically something inherent to my process, but it's not intentional necessarily. And I'd prefer to avoid that being automatic. Like I can make that intentional when I want it to be intentional and avoid doing it automatically. One other thing that would probably make him a little bit more instantly recognizable as Link and not just a wolf is really getting this and this is overemphasized in the game art, but Link has these like really diagonal looking like diamond shaped eyes, like almondy diamond shaped eyes, and I've kind of not done that here. These are very rounded, but this is kind of in my aesthetic of what a dangerous but intelligent animal looks like. So this isn't, we deliberately choose how to interpret the source material. Link from Twilight Princess, it's a goated costume design. I love it. The face is okay. It's okay to me. It's not great. It's just a little bit too I mean, it's one of the best, but it isn't my favorite. I don't know what my favorite is, but we'll see. We'll see how the remake for Ocarina of Time comes along. I think the white shapes on the forehead especially go a long way. I think so. I will probably put those in the coloring stages. I don't want them to look like stickers, right? So that'll be part of his coloring pattern and not something that gets a specific amount of line art. Not really. like the sun. So another challenge for this piece will be managing like POV dimensionality, the concept of like and this may not even be obvious to everybody, but the POV here is like maybe you're a bad guy or something like that. POV, this is POV you. You're a person that Midna has sicked Link on. Wolf Link has run you down and he's got his paw resting on your chest and you're on the ground looking up. And he's deciding whether to kill you or maim you a bit first and then kill you. And Midna is like delighted by this. Link is like, you're Wolf Link's new chew toy for 30 seconds. That's if you're lucky, right? Because of that, there's an intense amount of focus that needs to be on Link's expression, Midna's expression, their rendering, but not so much what's happening here in the background, which admittedly is a little fuzzy. Well, it's extremely fuzzy in my rough drawing. Now this is the power of a sketch to sort of auto-complete itself in the mind of the viewer. You know, some may look for detail there and expect some, but see very little, but not make a fuss about it because they'll just infer what's going on there. There's a counterintuitive reality that in order to make clear make clear what is happening in the background, I must restrain myself from clarifying and embrace nebulousness. The composition will not benefit from me rendering this other arm or what's happening with this tail or seeing much of anything in the background. That needs to be done sparingly, and ultimately if attention is drawn to those areas, then that's me failing to do my job to control focus where it actually belongs. Kind of need you to remember what the Twilight Realm looks like with all the black floating squares. You could choose to have that as a background. Well, that's interesting. There are black floating squares. So, you're right. However, that shape language is I sound like a douche, but the I don't like rigid black. So this is, and I'll tell you why. Rigid black shapes like squares, like geometry is like rigid geometry is problematic for the composition. And if something is problematic for the composition, we just don't include it. It's not necessary. Might feel like it's necessary because we're adhering to the concrete like reality of the source material. But that's in a game, okay? And this is the reality, okay? They didn't use geometry in the game because that was the reality of that Twilight Realm existence, right? That's the art direction's interpretation of the Twilight Realm's reality. Okay? Does that make sense? So it's like the big golden background is probably where we'll be. Yes, correct. And while probably what I said was convincing just a second ago, it is also a little bit of like, that's Max's art bullshit. And that's a little bit true. I don't think it'll look good. If I thought it would look good, I would put it in, like the black squares. The big golden background will look good. And that is what we'll go with. So that's the answer. What goes in is what looks good. No one will ever miss what would have looked bad. And, you know, some people might point out that if you added squares, it would have looked more like the game. But my job is to make this look good. It has to be scroll-stoppingly good. So that people say, who is this artist? Oh my god, it's that guy. He's so annoying. Everybody's retweeting him. I'm sick of his wrinkly face. And his douchey analogies. He's so cringe. Yes, back tattoos for everybody. Oh, poor. As the sort of layers of information sort of unfolded, I definitely feel, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Balo. Especially like she almost I don't know, but almost exclusively does like Zelda stuff, and like that's her niche, that's her specialty, and like to sort of get a little bit it's just an outright theft of design, and it cannot be condoned, so that's terrible. In my case, I don't think I would. So, if someone said that they designed this as a tattoo and sold it for like $1,000 as a tattoo design, I would probably be like, you fucker, you know. I think I would have have a similar reaction. Kind of a risk we take being fan artists is, you know, anything you put out there can be copied in terms of art. The barrier for replicating data is zero now. It costs nothing to create data, it costs nothing to copy data, it costs nothing to store data, and it costs nothing to move data. It used to be that to move a book and to move a brick were like practically the same cost, right? And in the world pre-internet, like moving bricks and moving books, like information might as well have been bricks, right? Now, the cost to move a brick is the cost to move a brick. That line is like this on like the economic graph. It's probably increasing, you know, because it's whatever shipping costs or whatever. World is in turmoil. But the cost to move information probably like wobbled a little bit as they invented computers, and then it just plummeted. It's like nothing now. It costs nothing now. So that's why it's interesting. It's like they're building data farms here, but like if all you're doing is moving information around, like if the cost to move information around is nothing, then maybe it just, obviously it's like they're building them in cheap areas in some cases, but like this is just the start. They probably start putting them in economically disadvantaged countries and the places where things are already being outsourced to, information jobs. Working in the film industry, entertainment industry like I do, so much is outsourced to other countries now because the cost to produce, movies are data, shows are data. Animation had known this for a long time. You animate, you could storyboard something in California, but have it animated in Korea by very talented animators who work for whatever, pennies on the dollar. At least that was true at the time. And everybody's making or the powers that be are making a killing on things. But it's just a race to the bottom. What a world. Has to be that good, yeah. They're doing it at the cost of all of us. Yes, I feel like they call that like negative externalities, right? If the people using these technologies and receiving the benefit from them or whatever had to also receive the negative impact felt by others, they themselves felt the negative impact that is projected onto others. See, it's like a business not hiring an artist to create something for their business, instead using AI to create it. They feel only the good things, and they'll never know that the artist is suffering from not having that little bit of employment or whatever. And it's hard to point and say that that business therefore is doing something bad. It feels a little bit like, okay, well, they're just making economically sensible decisions from their point of view. But like, it all depends where you draw the circle. Like, around that person, within that circle, you draw the circle and there's no harm done. So to them, there's no harm done. But you draw the circle around two people and there's harm within that circle, because if the other person is the artist, there's definitely harm involved, right? They've been cut out. And when you think about how the technology came about in the first place, as originating from ultimately the distilling of the information freely provided by lifetimes of artists, not knowing that by sharing their skills publicly online, sometimes not even intentionally, that would culminate in them being so threatened. I don't really think people can claim ignorance. And if they do, it won't be for long. My thing, my prediction is that AI will it's sort of taking itself out in terms of like its appeal, because it's quickly becoming like the informational spam or like robocall kind of. It's like thinking that robocalls are cool or something like that, or like, look at this, I don't have to, I can, its greatest utility is in the like the deception, information deception campaign, like misinformation, disinformation, propaganda, fakeness, selling people stuff that doesn't exist, or ideas that are harmful. At that, it excels because so many people don't think critically about stuff that is presented that sort of feels like it aligns with their previously held worldviews. I need to make this shackle feel intentional. This needs some heft. For a second, I was making the mental case internally to like minimize, and I think it needs to be seen. I'm just wondering how to stage it. I think I can see a case for it. So this is where we're sort of drawing out of the concept of the original sketch. Had it sort of minimized, and I needed to be doing something else. Shackle shows its link too, yeah. Oh, interesting. I've never heard of that before. Which part were you were you referring to when you said that's extra? Part that you'd never heard of before. Was I being brilliant? I'm just rambling. Negative externality. It's essentially pollution. That's a lot of how I look at the harm of misinformation and just slop. You know, it's AI slop. It's we've all seen those. You know, you could be kind of a fan of them, or like you could take them or leave them. But the previous to like 2020, for instance, it was fairly common to see from time to time collection video. Oh, this needs to. We have to be smart about how we stage this this piece of. Like, I don't want to cover up Midna's legs haphazardly. I think here is a better spot, because this way at least it like points up to her, right? Those compilations, those video compilations of like a guy on a trampoline with his friends are bouncing, and the guy does like 50 flips or something, like, or not 50, but it's like 10 flips, 15 flips or something like that. People breaking world records, people like jumping over each other's backs and then like breaking a karate board that someone's on a ladder holding. It's to like, you get these inspirational music, and it's called like People Are Awesome, you know, the People Are Awesome series, or something akin to that. just YouTube compilations, basically, or Vine compilations, or Shorts compilations, or Reel compilations, but stuff where it's like, you're like, damn, you know, it's like, people can do really awesome shit. Where someone's like skiing down backwards off a mountain and like does a jump and then like lands, and then like someone hands him a beer and everyone's laughing and you know, stuff. That stuff is awesome. But now, like, I see stuff and I'm like, oh, cool, it's one of those things. And then it's like, the guy jumps on a unicorn and it flies into the air, and you're, oh, that was AI. I don't trust anything I see now, especially if it's cool. And that's dystopian. Like, we don't, the common language of trust that we had on the internet, maybe it always had to die. Maybe it was, you know, never really sensible to have it in the first place, but we used to have it, and now we don't. It's gone now. And we all have to live with that loss. And those who contribute to that loss, and there are those who are contributing to it, and think nothing of their contribution to it. You know, I'm mad at that. I'm mad because I want people's achievements to mean something. They can be inspirational. And it, you know, cheating sucks. This might not be accurate, but I'm just going to sort of like draw this chain to be, the chain has to be a compositional tool here. So maybe that's overdoing it, because the square edge on that was problematic in and of itself. Let's try something rounder. They're super efficient at it and symbolic. It was probably an inevitable side effect of the reward system that we have, where we are replacing the sign of a thing for this thing signified, and it's like, in this world, presenting as successful is equivalent to being successful, at least like in the world of social media and stuff like that, where those are the incentives. People's actions can be predicted, practically dictated. So it's not some grand mystery why any of this happened the way it did, but our brains need to be rewired to have a higher standard for ourselves, for the sake of the future. I found a clip, or like a potential clip that I was, I'll probably make a thing out of, like eventually, but it's, me kind of talking about how doing it the hard way is better. Essentially, I can't remember exactly what I said. Just another brilliant Maxism. But where we see everybody taking shortcuts and being successful, it's obviously that's tempting. But there's a price to pay. And now we're all paying it. Kind of want there to be like a piece of the shackle that ends up over here. So it was sort of like stringing it. Can have it go this way. It'll if I can infuse a sense of movement to the shackle, it'll help the drawing sort of feel alive. And so we need to harness that power. Feels good. And similar to what I was talking about earlier, the shackle is not the focus of the thing. So if I get too, because even here, this isn't right. I don't want it to look like it's like resting here. It needs to be sort of like, maybe this first shackle, the first chain on the shackle is like oversized or something. The rest can be a little smaller. Yeah, I feel like they kept the shackle due to just the edginess factor. I think it's cool. I think it's badass. And so it might be a little hard to see, but here, if I make that a little bigger, we can see the shackle a little bit, sort of in space here. He's mogging here a little bit. Mewing, mogging, whatever the term is, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a good start. I should probably get my kids. Oh, but yesterday my wife picked them up at 3:30 and my daughter was complaining that she didn't get to finish her arts and crafts. So we'll go a little bit longer. Mogging. I assume it's mogging. I think they're like I think if you're like 6 molding, mogging. He's not molding. Yeah, mogging is like, I think that's what he's doing. mogging is something like you do for the camera, and mewing is something you do to help you mog. All right. The mewing is like the exercises to like make you look studly or like look smacks, right? And then mogging is expressing those look smaxed looks for the camera. The okay. Let's bring this back down. I want to get a little more Midna in, and then we'll call it a stream. But yeah, we don't need perfect. Like right now I'm drawing this chain and it's like I've erased it and drawn it a few times now. And it's like that's generally not great. But we have some flexibility here because the I liked it better the way it was before. That's too low. Not quite sure what happened. Like, yeah, the chain has been redrawn more than a few times. That's okay. It'll just look like an old chain. Let's just have all this great accidental texture. There we go. Get like a funky bolt in there. We're not bound to the realities of how things were expressed in the game. The game made visual decisions based on the limitations of the game's graphics. We do not have that constraint, so we should not feel bound by those. We can pick and choose what parts of that aesthetic we embrace and which parts we reject. And it would be a mistake not to do so. Drawing chain links can be an excellent bit of drawing practice. In case that wasn't on anybody's radar. It is definitely true that the challenge of drawing chain links is one of those things, if you haven't done it before, give it a shot. Actually, we should, next time we see Lude in the Discord, Lude Money, we will remember to mention this. Or if he catches this stream, he'll know that we drawing link chained up. That There's there's a piece of fan art that could be waiting to happen. And the extent to which the chain might feel like it's being a little bit overbearing in the composition. Right now I don't think it is, but if I make it too shiny or make its presence just a little bit too obnoxious, it could definitely do more harm than good. So we're gonna have to be judicious. But I think with appropriate consideration of like the pattern of light and dark, like just the graphic quality, light and shadow, I can make sure that it isn't more relevant than it needs to be. Just sort of like a fun detail, and I want to see if I can pull it off. Okay, let's cram in a little minute at a time. Everybody save your work. Let me flip this. I hate doing this, but I will. It's early stages, and I do make mistakes. I'm going to rotate this section of chain a little bit, so I feel like it needs it. This does something here. Potential for it to serve. The composition is better over here. Is that too many links in the chain? Oh, I'm sure it is. But that's okay. This is like from the Todd McFarlane School of Drawing Chains, where if 100 is good, then 1,000 is better. Maybe this last one is totally fucked up. Maybe it, you know what would kind of be cool is if they were like corrupted as they went. Like that's a fun detail. Some sort of like bits of shit sort of falling off the edges. Kind of feels like it needs that. That's what it wants. It's telling me that's what it wants. Okay, because I can talk to drawings, all right? They speak to me. They tell me. The art is, it's speaking to me. I alone have this power. Just as the mobile spark to the Italian guy. I forget his name exactly. Perspective on this needs just a little help. Yeah, the Italian guy, I'm pretty sure his name was Mario. Right? Right? He's a plumber, right? If he was alive today, he would be sculpting Wolf Link and making anime edits on TikTok. I agree. I agree. Thanks, Danny. I struggle with this. I'm sure everybody does, or maybe not. It's just the sitting down and getting started. And what's interesting is the streaming can help me actually get past the... Like, when I'm not streaming, I find it very hard to force myself to... When I am booked with work, the only thing I want to do is work on fan art. But when I'm not booked with work, and it's just the house is quiet, and the phone's not ringing, my agent isn't telling me to do anything, or whatever, and there's not money on the line or whatever, a little difficult to find my motivations, I gotta be honest. Very challenging. But if I can sit down on a down day, like today, where it's just not a lot going on, I don't have a lot of excuses. I'm not being pulled away by a constant schedule or expectations. Very difficult to seek out and choose accountability where it was optional. But if I can just get it started, then the stream kind of takes away like any incentive to be lazy in front of like the eyes of others or whatever. A little bit of I think they call it like an accountability device. An experience a lot more akin to working on site, which I used to do, right? Used to be, I would go someplace and work in a studio with people, and gosh, if I was lazy in front of a bunch of clients, like that wouldn't be a good look. Like in this case, how long have we been streaming? Ooh, no dropped frames? Damn, when does that happen? An hour and 45 minutes is probably the longest I've gone in 3 days without looking at my phone. I mean, just being honest, I look at my phone constantly just because I'm like, well, what else is trying to tell me something? Do I need to know what is happening right now, right? But when I'm streaming, it's kind of like a singular focus. It's just sort of like me, what's in front of me, and everything else is on pause. That's good. Hamdo. Max is doing Twilight Princess. Hey Ham, how are you? Welcome back, welcome back. Now Ham, I'm only gonna go maybe another 20 minutes, so that's it's a shame, but I have to pick up my kiddos from school before too long. They're in summer vacation, so right now they're just having fun, but it isn't something I should neglect. Okay, so now we draw some Midna. I'll do myself a favor and start a new layer for her. So that's Link on one. Midna's got a lot of interesting, difficult to parse out details that we'll struggle with. We might have to interpret some of this stuff, you know? The game's rendering engine has this like dark filter that really obscures a lot of the details in the shadows. Makes it super hard for me to see objectively what Midna's design is. There's just a lot of shading everywhere. And I've seen more than a few other references of her, so that it's like, I know that this is definitely aligned with what she looks like, of course, but capturing the sass of Midna, yes. It's like the whole point. Boxer was in the stream earlier. He normally doesn't hang out too long. Just make sure that my audio's good, and then he dips. He's a busy boy. He is very busy. Congrats to him. And this is tricky too, like kind of like the Wolf Link has coloring, but I don't necessarily want to do lines that delineate one bit of coloring from the next, like his patterns. It's difficult. On Midna, she's got like coloring on her eye, but I feel like in this case I do. It's not a mask or a sticker, but it is something where if I don't put down something, I'll lose where that line is in space. So I'll make it soft for now. And even in this inking process, we're not, again, with my like reel yesterday, talking about how we keep things loose until we know that it's ready to be tight. Sometimes loose is as tight as you want it to be. You know, why have a super tight edge on a soft form? Now, can I pull the audience? I believe Minna has like one sharp tooth, right? Or something like that. She has like one fang. Is it like that? Let's put it to a vote. Let's see here. According to AI, Midna has a distinct, smug, single-fang grin. There we are. You know, the goal is to be like on the front page when you Google Midna. We need to have one of my Midnas needs to be front page. Can we do this? So this is the fang right here on her left side. Yes. So far, my Midna artwork is not on the front page. Well, there you go. Proof that AI sucks. Okay. Then we must have it in the frame. And if we're gonna see it, let's really see it, right? Sent some pics in Discord too. Okay, thank you, Donald. Let's see here. I'm kind of giving her like a I will probably mispronounce the name, a Fairuza bulk. The older millennials in the chat will recognize that name, I'm sure. Very distinctive sort of natural goth actress from the 90s. pointing in the wrong direction. Let's see here. Might have overdone it with that fang, but I don't want it to be like ambiguous, right? Definitely need to be able to see it. As usual, I'll be a little bit picky with the eyes. I want it to look like she is looking directly at camera. Well, they both are, essentially. So some of this stuff might get a little reworked. But that basically does it. So, Donald put some pics in the Discord. All right, here we go. Oh, yeah, so this is great. Here, I'll bust this one out in a little bit. Oh, that's the chain. Okay, so the chain has a little design on it. That's good to know. Good to know. The fused shadow. That's interesting. Complete helmet. Interesting. Goated sketch. All right, I'll bust that out in a second, but let's go a little bit longer. Unfortunately, I do not have much more time. But I think it's always hardest to, like, especially with Midna, you want to really nail that face, that expression. And now that that is in, a lot of the rest is a little bit... That can be... Well, no, I promised I'd try to do this all on stream. It's for education, after all. So, I will not be working on this except for on stream. So that will be a new fun challenge for me to... You know, it's true. I had a bit of a run where I was like, I need to make more art because people weren't really responding to the streams. People were responding to the streams, but it's like, you know, my loyal fans, and I love you, but, you know, sort of... But the broadly communicated art education is sort of the ultimate goal, and if it stays very narrow focused, that's not quite getting what I was attempting. Now it feels like doors have been opened that feel like they it feels like things have shifted so that, like, I don't have to keep pushing on this door to keep it open. It looks like the door might just be okay where it is right now, and I don't have to rush or exert extra energy trying to push it open or keep it open. And so now I can regroup a little bit and remember that there's a place for making sure that, especially since I've learned so much since those initial streams where I was doing everything on stream, that I do need to remember the roots and come back to where you know, there's that in-person, if you will, engagement on the stream. So that will be the goal for this, is to, you know, and if I am only working on it on stream, then that means I'll stream more, because I do want to work on this. So that's good. That's a good goal, right? Yeah. All right, let me save this. All right, we're going to bust open, as a parting gift, this fun sketch I did. Because Donald opened it up. He says it's his favorite sketch he's ever seen in his entire life. There's never been a sketch better than this one. And I agree. It's the best ever. I wish I could. Here, I'll pull it over here. And then scale it there. There we go. You can all see it. Yeah, you'll get the full experience for the Midna Wolf Link treatment. And I'll have to make it goated. It'll have to be goated. Yeah, because I was taking all that time off to do like commissions and focusing on pushing out pieces and reels that were getting attention and stuff like that. Now I feel like I've got the attention. I don't want necessarily more attention. And in fact, the phone can be very distracting with a lot of people ask me questions and I'm like, hey, this is good. Can you ask me this question in the chat so that like other people can see the answer and learn, right? You know, so I want public facing discourse, not private. Like you know, don't tell me in private that I'm amazing. Tell me in public that I'm amazing, you know? Okay. This is a piece yet to come. And it's, this is sketch 1. And this is just one of those examples of like, kind of felt the sketch was this is a rare on paper sketch with pen that I just sort of, let's say I was otherwise occupied in a specific room of the house and felt like giving the old pen and paper a try, and looks like I still had some skill. This I had been drawing in my head for quite some time, and so it was sort of cooked and ready to come out on pen and paper when I sat down to do it. And this is that opening shot in Link's Awakening where Marin finds Link on the beach, all washed up. And thus the story goes. So, fun preview. I'm not sure if I've showed it on stream. But eventually, because Donald is such a loyal supporter, we're gonna make sure that happens. Probably before too long. Because this is a goated piece. It needs to happen. It's what the people want. Okay. Let me go back to here. We're going to do a little 50-50 thumbnailing. See how this goes. Oh, God. You know, how to do my thing. All right, so what's that meme like? Right, like that goofy guy's like. All right, so that is it. Thank you so much for popping in. I gotta go be a dad, pick up my kids, do all that good stuff.